I ain't had nothing to do with nothing. Period. If I had anything to do with this shit, bro, them people that bitch snatched me, bro. I'm on an ankle monitor, bro. Stop bashing my damn name, bro. I ain't got nothing to do with nothing.
One Saturday, she calls me and she was like, hey, I want to give you all of my belongings. And that included her car, the keys to her apartment, and she said you can have everything in it. The stuff that you don't want, you can just sell it.
She told me that she felt like she was in danger, that a black truck was following her. She felt like she wasn't going to make it to her 30th birthday. She was getting weird phone calls, text messages. She goes missing 2 days later.
Imagine having a premonition that your life might end before your next birthday, and then it actually happens. This was the reality for Alexis Ware, a 29-year-old mother of two whose intuition screamed danger in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. Alexis warned those around her that she was being followed by a black truck. Her phone was being mysteriously called by unknown numbers, and she feared she wouldn't live to see her 30th birthday. On January 30th, 2022, Alexis went for what should have been a routine custody exchange at a 7-Eleven in Anderson, South Carolina with her ex, TJ Patterson. She had a 2-year-old son with him and a 9-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. But what should have been an easy handoff would tragically be the last confirmed moment anyone would ever see her alive. What was more chilling was her car would later be discovered abandoned in a place so remote that few people would ever think to go there. There were no footprints to follow, no phone to trace, no tangible clue left behind. How does a mother vanish without leaving a single trace? The events of that night were startling, yet the warning signs were hidden in her past. Let's return to the beginning, to the moments when things first started to unravel. Alexis Deshay Ware was 29 years old when she disappeared. Her mother, Alberta Ware, stepped in as the primary guardian of Alexis's children, making sure they had stability and love during such a painful time. Alexis's brother, Travis Ware, who lives in Atlanta, stayed closely connected, supporting the family and helping to keep her memory alive. She was a devoted mom to 2 kids. Naomi, her 9-year-old daughter from a previous relationship with a man known as Sosa, and her 2-year-old son with her ex, TJ Patterson. Though Alexis had experienced her share of difficult relationships, including a rocky one with Sosa, the father of Naomi, co-parenting wasn't always easy, but Alexis remained committed to making it work in the best interest of their child. She understood that stability and love were essential, and she worked hard to ensure her daughter felt supported by both parents. Even when tensions arose, Alexis showed resilience. She balanced the complexities of her personal life with her responsibilities as a mother, determined to create a safe and nurturing environment. Her ability to put her child's needs first reflected her strength and maturity, qualities that those closest to her admired deeply. Alexis would later find love with TJ Patterson, and their relationship seemed to blossom quickly. Together, they were expecting twins, but heartbreak would strike. One of the babies was lost during the pregnancy. TJ shared his grief openly in a Facebook post, a moment that revealed the deep pain they both carried. Despite the tragedy, Alexis and TJ pressed forward, determined to build a life together. They often shared glimpses of their happiness on social media, photos of family moments, posts about their love, and snapshots of everyday life. Yet, as with many relationships, not everything was as it appeared online. Eventually, Alexis and TJ parted ways. Even so, Alexis remained focused on moving forward. She had children to raise and dreams to pursue, and she was determined not to let setbacks define her. Her growing presence on social media became a platform for her ambitions, a way to connect with others and showcase her journey. With more than 30,000 Instagram followers, Alexis's page reflected her life as a young mother with big aspirations. Her posts ranged from beauty tips and personal photos to candid reflections on her daily experiences. She didn't shy away from sharing both the highs and the lows, offering her followers an authentic look into her world. For many, Alexis's openness made her relatable, and her determination made her inspiring. Both Alexis's children were the center of her world, and those who knew Alexis often said she lit up whenever she talked about them, which is a surprise when she would just leave her children and just disappear without a trace. At the time, Alexis lived in Greenville, South Carolina at the Rocky Creek Apartments. Neighbors remembered her as someone who was warm, approachable, and always willing to lend a hand. She wasn't just liked, she was respected, admired for her kindness and the way she carried herself. Those who knew her described her as grounded, practical, and responsible. She wasn't someone who sought drama or attention. Instead, she was ambitious and determined to build her business and create a better future for her family. Friends and relatives remembered her as focused, loving, and deeply devoted to her children. Family ties were everything to Alexis. She had a close relationship with her mother and brother, and those bonds were a big part of her life. Friends described her as vibrant and determined, balancing motherhood with her own ambitions and always finding ways to encourage the people around her.
Alexis was an entrepreneurial young woman who built her career as a hairstylist and makeup artist, working from home while growing her reputation. She used social media to expand her personal brand, sharing content that reflected the style and confidence of Instagram models. Her ambitions reached beyond her home business. She dreamed of opening a hair salon and clothing boutique in Atlanta. She had already taken concrete steps toward that goal, securing a business license and beginning to purchase inventory, including clothing racks and merchandise. At the heart of everything, Alexis was a mother who put her children first. She worked hard to maintain stable relationships with both fathers of her children, ensuring that co-parenting remained consistent and supportive. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, however, those close to her noticed troubling changes. Alexis began to show signs of fear and anxiety, and her behavior became increasingly erratic. These shifts worried her loved ones and suggested that something serious was weighing heavily on her. In the weeks leading up to January 30, 2022, Alexis confided that she felt unsafe and under threat. She told people she was being followed more than once by a black truck, and she was receiving constant calls from unknown numbers. Even after blocking them, the calls continued, and she described the mysterious caller as the devil. Her fear grew so intense that she began speaking of death, warning that she would not live to see her 30th birthday, which was only weeks away. Her behavior also became increasingly unusual. Surveillance footage captured her digging or burying a box in a neighbor's yard, and she explained she was practicing root work, a form of spiritual folk magic. Alexis admitted she performed both good and bad root work, suggesting she was using spells or protections tied to her fears. But that wasn't the only chilling part. On January 25th at 1:30 in the morning, she called TJ Patterson and told him that 5 of her former partners had died over the past 7 years. She said she had wished death upon them and warned that danger might be coming for him too, showing just how heightened her sense of threat had become.
She called wake me up, talking about some TJ. She say, I know you sleep, I know you gotta work in the morning. She say, but let me tell you something right quick. I'm like, what you talking about, Lit? What's up? She talking about some, well, my last 5 exes within the last 7 years, they died. Huh? What you talking about? She said, I wish death upon them. I said, bro, you is tripping. You know what I'm saying? You need help, man. Get off my phone. You talking crazy. I hung up. She started sending me all type of pictures of a ladybug crawling on the ceiling, what the meanings of it, her Pisces sign, all type of weird talk. You know what I'm saying? So...
The next day, January 26th, a neighbor's Ring camera recorded her digging in the backyard of her apartment complex, again tied to her root work practices. By January 28th, Alexis was at her mother Alberta's home with her children. She appeared anxious and unsettled, talking about the unexplained calls and the feeling of being followed. She shared again with her mother she did not expect to live to see her 30th birthday. Finally, on January 30, after a custody exchange at a 7-Eleven in Anderson, Alexis sped away in her red Honda Accord instead of following TJ as planned.
So she got there, she was like, she said, where you at? I said, I'm at my aunt's house watching the game. So she was like, well, come and meet me on 29 at 7-Eleven if we can get the kids. She said, I'm about to run out of gas. I got like 3 miles left. I said, okay. So as she talking, she like, TJ, watch out for these cars. Watch out for a white car, gray car, black car. Now, mind me, now I'm like, okay, so I put on speakerphone, let my cousin them, everybody hear. So I'm like, okay, I'm on my way. So my cousin like, boy, go get your son, boy. So I was like, shit, I say no more. I dapped him up. We left. I pull up at 7-Eleven. You know what I'm saying? She's sitting at the gas pump. I get out, go in the car. Go in the stove. I pump 35 in her gas tank, and I put 20 in mine. I come back out, get my son out the car. You know what I'm saying? She asked me, could Naomi go with me, her daughter? I was like, yeah, she can go. So I was like, she said, okay. She said, TJ, watch out for this car. She kept pointing at cars, like white car, black car, gray car. She said, watch out for these cars. She said, matter of fact, don't stop at no red lights. So I'm like, man, what you mean? I said, babe, you need help. You need to get some help. So I'm like, she was like, she know, TJ, I'm telling you. She's like, give me a hug me. So I hugged her. You know what I'm saying? The hug didn't feel right. Something wasn't right. So I got there and hugged, got in the car, and I pulled off. For y'all, the one that's in Anderson, I turn on Amity Road as I pass Welfare Church. I barely passed Welfare Church. And she got dang on, she sped around me. Bus right going out Anderson Belton Highway. So I just started calling. I'm like, where the hell she going? She supposed to be following me to my mom's house. So she said she was going to her mom's house. So I'm like, damn, I started calling. I called about 3 times. She cut the phone off. So I go to the house. You feel me? I'm going to the house. So goddamn I call her mama. I'm like, man, you talk to Liz. She supposed to be coming down there. She was like, nah, I ain't talk to her. She said, so she like, I like, man, she got the phone off. I got the kids. You feel me? So I'm like, she say, okay, I'm finna call her now. So she started calling on Facebook. Calling. Ain't get no response. We hear nothing else no more. I ain't hear nothing else.
Highway cameras later picked up her car traveling toward Augusta, Georgia, before returning to South Carolina. What remains uncertain is whether Alexis was the one behind the wheel. From the moment Alexis Ware was reported missing, law enforcement sprang into action. On January 31, 2022, a day after her disappearance, her family contacted the Anderson County Sheriff's Office to file a missing persons report. Given the circumstances, her young children, and the alarming last communications, authorities treated the situation with urgency. Initial responders canvassed the area around Greenville, South Carolina, where Alexis had been last seen. Search efforts were coordinated with multiple agencies, including the Sheriff's Office, state police, and local emergency responders. Aerial support in the form of helicopters was deployed to survey the surrounding terrain, particularly the rural areas Alexis's car had traveled through. Canine units were brought in to track scents and potentially locate Alexis in the heavily wooded and uneven terrain where her vehicle would be later found. Search parties worked tirelessly over 222 acres of land, combing every inch for any clue to her whereabouts. Despite their efforts, the initial search yielded no sign of Alexis, intensifying the fear and frustration of her family. But investigators would come across a clue. 3 days after Alexis had gone missing, her car was found on a remote dirt road in McCormick County with her phone, ID, purse, and a bag of clothes inside, evidence that suggested she did not plan to leave voluntarily. The car contained her personal belongings, but no signs of blood or struggle inside. Black hair bonnet found outside the car indicated a potential struggle or sudden stop. The vehicle was muddy, suggesting it had been driven through rough terrain. As the investigation expanded, police reviewed surveillance footage from the 7-Eleven in Anderson, where Alexis had conducted the custody exchange. The footage confirmed that Alexis interacted with TJ Patterson, her ex and father of her youngest child, and loaded her children into his vehicle. But authorities would encounter a challenge. The arrival of a tractor-trailer would block the camera for a critical window of time, leaving the final moments of Alexis's departure unclear. Highway cameras tracked her vehicle traveling toward Augusta, Georgia, and then returning to South Carolina, though visibility was insufficient to confirm if Alexis was driving. Sheriff's deputies organized multiple intensive searches, including a sweep on February 3rd and another massive effort on February 8th, involving cadaver dogs and specialized search teams. Forensics examined the car meticulously. No blood, no struggle inside, and only Alexis's fingerprints were present.
Despite these extensive efforts, Alexis remained missing, leaving law enforcement with more questions than answers. Investigators also focus on her state of mind and recent behavior. In the days before her disappearance, Alexis had spoken of spiritual practices, root work, and shared fears of being followed by an unknown individual in a black truck. She had called her mother Alberta, describing threatening phone calls and a sense that she would not survive to her 30th birthday. These warnings were taken seriously by police, who understood the disappearance was not merely a case of a runaway. Investigators looked closely at every possible threat in Alexis's life, from her past relationships to anyone who might have been fixated on her. At first, her ex, T.J. Patterson, came under public scrutiny since he was the last person to see her. But police were able to verify his alibi with precision. Not only that, he was wearing an ankle monitor that tracked his movements in real time. Witnesses like his cousin and Alexis's daughter Naomi backed up his account, and surveillance footage confirmed he met Alexis at the 7-Eleven, interacted with her and the children, and then drove to his mother's house.
With TJ cleared, investigators shifted their attention elsewhere. Testimonies suggested there may have been another man in Alexis's life, someone described as obsessive or controlling. The details about him remain unclear, but Alexis had reportedly feared this individual. She had spoken of being followed and receiving threatening calls, though police have not publicly identified who this person might be. Law enforcement explored several possible explanations for Alexis's disappearance, each one carrying its own weight. One of the first theories was foul play. Investigators considered the possibility that someone had forced her off the road or abducted her near the remote spot where her car was found. The abandoned belongings inside the vehicle and the black hair bonnet discovered outside suggested that whatever happened may have been sudden and violent. Another angle was the idea of a voluntary disappearance. Could Alexis have staged her own vanishing? Police examined this possibility carefully, but the fact that she left behind her phone, ID, and other essentials made it difficult to believe she had walked away from her life by choice. Most importantly, Alexis would never leave her children unattended. Authorities also looked at her mental health. In the weeks before she went missing, Alexis had shown signs of paranoia and fear, and investigators considered whether a psychological crisis might have influenced her actions in those final hours. Despite these theories and extensive searches, no arrests were ever made in connection with her disappearance. The case remains active, with multiple agencies involved, including the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, the FBI, and the Attorney General's Office. But her family refused to sit back and wait. They organized search parties, put up billboards with her photo, and made public appeals through local media. Crime Stoppers offered a $5,000 reward for information, and community organizations like the Black and Missing Foundation stepped in to help spread awareness and keep Alexis's name in the public eye. For Alexis Ware's family, her disappearance has been nothing short of devastating, reshaping their lives in ways they never imagined. Her mother, Alberta Ware, stepped into the role of raising Alexis's two children, Naomi, who was 9 at the time, and her 2-year-old son. Alberta carried the weight of her own grief while also coordinating with investigators and pushing for stronger support in the search. She became the family's anchor, holding everything together while reminding the community how important vigilance and engagement are in cases like this. Alberta often described Alexis as deeply intuitive and protective, recalling how her daughter repeatedly warned if she feared she wouldn't live to see her 30th birthday. Those haunting words have stayed with the family ever since she vanished. Her brother, Travis Ware, has been equally committed to keeping Alexis's story alive. Living in Atlanta, he has worked to ensure the case remains in the public eye. He often reflects on Alexis's final interactions, remembering the fear and urgency in her voice during their last phone calls. Every unexplained action, the sudden detour away from T.J. Patterson, the warnings about cars following her, left Travis and the rest of the family with painful questions about what Alexis was truly facing in those final days. The Ware family has refused to let the case fade from memory.
They organized community search parties, placed billboards across Greenville and Anderson, and worked closely with local media to keep her name circulating. A $5,000 reward was offered for information, but despite all their efforts, the mystery of Alexis's disappearance remains unresolved. Their persistence, however, has ensured that her story continues to be heard and that the search for answers has never stopped. The community in Greenville and the surrounding counties quickly rallied around Alexis's family after she disappeared. Volunteers came forward to join search efforts, donating their time, resources, and energy to help. Many people shared her story across social media, determined to raise awareness and keep her name visible. Local organizations, including the Black and Missing Foundation, played a crucial role in amplifying her case, reminding the public of how important it is to give equal attention to missing Black women and children who are often overlooked in national coverage. Social media itself became a double-edged sword.
On one hand, it helped spread Alexis's story far and wide, but on the other, it fueled speculation. Some users focused on her ex, T.J. Patterson, since he was the last person to see her. Even though law enforcement confirmed his alibi through GPS tracking and witness accounts, online rumors persisted. This misplaced suspicion added to the family's stress, forcing them to defend the integrity of the people Alexis trusted with her children. As time went on, the family searched for ways to honor Alexis even without closure. Her 30th birthday on March 23, 2022 was especially painful. They marked the day with a small celebration, preparing a seafood boil, her favorite meal, and serving a birthday cake decorated with her photo. Her children, still too young to fully understand her absence, took part under the loving guidance of Alberta, who made sure the day reflected both remembrance and hope. Even as anniversaries passed, the family continued to find meaningful ways to commemorate Alexis. Each gathering, each memorial became more than just a tribute. It was also a way to keep her memory alive and to draw attention back to the ongoing search. Their persistence ensured that Alexis's story remained in the public eye, reminding the community that her case was far from forgotten. Alexis Ware's disappearance left behind more questions than answers, and those questions continue to weigh heavily on her family and community. Who was the person she feared, the mysterious devil on the phone and the driver of the black truck she believed was following her? Was she the victim of foul play, forced off the road, or abducted? Or did she leave voluntarily in an attempt to escape a threat she felt closing in? And what role did her spiritual practices, the root work she spoke about, play in her final days? Were they a source of comfort, or did they contribute to the turmoil she was experiencing? Experts and everyday people alike have debated these possibilities. Some point to psychological distress, others to potential stalking, and still others to the influence of her spiritual practices. Many believe it could have been a combination of factors. While law enforcement continues to investigate, public curiosity and speculation remain high, a reflection of how unsettling and complex her case truly is. In the face of these unanswered questions, Alexis's family chose to channel their grief into advocacy. On January 30th, 2025, the third anniversary of her disappearance, they presented a proposed bill to the Greenville County Legislative Delegation, the Alexis Ware Act. The legislation was designed to give families of missing persons more power to request state-level intervention. Specifically, it would allow families to ask the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division to take over an investigation if local police had not resolved it after 12 months. It also aimed to streamline access to state resources and ensure accountability and transparency in long-term missing person cases. Family friend and advocate Bruce Wilson explained that the act was born out of necessity, a way to provide hope and support to families living through the emotional turmoil of unresolved disappearances. During the presentation, Alexis's mother, Alberta Ware, delivered a heartfelt statement. She urged legislators to consider the profound impact these cases have on children, families, and entire communities, reminding them that behind every missing person is a family left in limbo,
waiting for answers that may never come. As 2025 ended, Alexis Ware is still missing. Her children continue to grow without her, holding on to hope that one day she might return. For her family, the search has never stopped. They remain committed to finding answers, pushing for legislative change, and honoring Alexis's memory through public awareness and remembrance. Her disappearance has become more than just a family tragedy. It's a reminder to everyone about the importance of paying attention when loved ones express fear or show unusual behavior. It's a call to check in on those around us and to advocate for systemic changes that can better protect families caught in crisis. Authorities continue to encourage anyone with information about Alexis's whereabouts to come forward. The Anderson County Sheriff's Office can be reached, and tips can also be submitted anonymously through Crime Stoppers. For Alexis's family, her story is more than a mystery. It is a plea for vigilance, a lesson in listening to voices that may otherwise go unheard, and a call to action for communities everywhere. Until she is found, her children, her mother Alberta, her brother Travis, and the wider community will continue to seek the truth, preserve her memory, and fight for the justice she deserves. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.